Why do people choose to live in Brooklyn, New York? I mean, why do they live there? Why do they stay there? I know I'm probably going to get some comments about that, like, well, don't live here, or some spam trolls. I'm not trying to be negative. I honestly, for the life of me, cannot figure out why people live there or choose to continue living there. Now, there are some good things about it, and I'll get into it, but I just spent a few days in Brooklyn. I was trying to push myself out of my comfort zone and go to a bigger city. I drove there just to make sure, because I'm planning on maybe doing a cross-country trip this winter. And I'm like, okay, are you going to be okay driving for a while? So I drove there. I got a hotel along the way, seen some beautiful sights. But boy, once I got into Brooklyn, I was all excited to see the Brooklyn Bridge and Brooklyn Park. There's a bird right there. Until I got there, I was like, OMG, this is insane. Right off the bat, I noticed a million people, which, okay, not a huge surprise. The big surprise is that all the trash and garbage everywhere. I'm like, I get it, it's a big city, but how do people live with all this trash and garbage everywhere? First off, it was piled up everywhere. Like, every garbage can was overflowing. I'm like, well, maybe the garbage men are on strike. No, I actually seen them there in the few days I was there. They weren't on strike. They just, I don't know, there's so many people, I guess the garbage really accumulates. And then there's just trash all over the streets. Like, it's everywhere. Where I was staying, I feel it was a pretty nice area. It was, I asked the lady, I was house sitting, watching this amazing cat. His name is Kevin. He was so sweet, so adorable. And the lady, a bright spot, was really nice too. So, I don't know, even though the people there are very distant, she was nice and she told me a little bit about the city. But getting there to her place, like, all the trash and the garbage, I noticed right away. I was like, and I had my windows down, and I was like, these odors kept wafting in. I'm like, what is happening here? So I get there, and I'm going to tell you something. It's not to brag. I'm getting rid of this car, actually, because I see it's going to be a problem. I have a Lincoln, a nice Lincoln, because when I was doing real estate, I needed the status car. I couldn't pull up to $1 million listing in a little junky car, right? So I just, it's paid for. I kept my Lincoln. But after this lesson learned, she's like, yeah, don't park your car on the street while I'm gone, because it'll get broken into. Because it's a Lincoln. And I'm like, oh, that's right. My sister lives in a very expensive area outside of San Francisco. And she had to downsize her car from an Audi to something way less desirable. And I'm like, why are you driving that? It's because she got tired of getting broken into. So Brooklyn clearly has that problem too, provided you can find parking. The streets are so, normal size, but there's so much parking. And then people would double park, like, I don't know, park right next to a car. And then you had this little tiny bumpy space to go through. It was crazy. But she's like, go ahead, park in the back. You should be safe there. It's gated. I'll give you the clicker. She was super wonderful. She was really, really nice. So I asked her, I said, what kind of neighborhood is this? Like, it's just, I'm not used to this big city. And she's like, it's a fine neighborhood. I'm like, were you born here? I'm trying to figure out, like, why do people, like, instantly, like, why are people living here? And she basically was saying, she didn't answer directly, but she basically said it's a lot of stress and anxiety. It's a big city. People are not the friendliest. She literally said they're New York nice. I'm like, what? Yeah, so, yeah, New York nice. And I was like, oh my gosh. Again, okay, so now we have crowded. I mean, there are townhomes just on top of each other. By the way, bars on all the windows up to the second floor. Like, so you're going to be a prisoner in your own house. I don't know what happens when a fire breaks out. Trash everywhere. And people are New York nice. I'm still digging for a reason. Why do people choose to live here? I was walking down the street because I like to get my steps in. Of course, I waited for the sun to come up because we're not even go there. What happens if it's dark outside? And I was walking down the street. I took a couple photos and I put on one of my social media accounts. I'm like, wow, Brooklyn hits different for my walks. And one of my friends wrote a comment, yeah, just be careful if you turn onto the wrong block, your walk could turn into a run. And we're all like, oh, that's funny. But it's true. Wait, you even have to be careful what blocks you're walking on. I'm like, what? I would pass people. Everyone's like wearing headphones or something, no eye contact, because I would like, let me make a game out of it. Let me try and, hi, smile, nothing. You can instantly feel very, very alone in such a big, big city. Or once in a while, like maybe I pass somebody and they're at their front yard, which is all concrete, very, very little grass, which also, by the way, there's poop everywhere. I guess because there's no grass. People just let their dog poop everywhere and then they don't pick it up. That was really gross too. And once in a while I get a neighbor or somebody I walk past their house and they'd be like, good morning, hope you have a blessed day. I'm like, oh my God, yes, you too. Have a wonderful day. It was so refreshing in the short amount of time. I was only there a few days, in the short amount of time to have somebody who is friendly and nice. I was like, wow, there are really good people. And I believe it because the lady I was house sitting for, she was really nice. And her friend I met, she was traveling with, seemed wonderful too. So, I mean, she's a mature, responsible woman. She's younger than me, but I mean, she's living there for a reason. She's not leaving. I don't know. She told me her neighbor works like an emergency room. We were talking about all this anxiety and stress, and we're both like, yeah, he must be under crazy anxiety and stress. I mean, she basically literally admitted it's a stressful area. I mean, not area, the city itself, Brooklyn itself. It was just crazy. Another thing about Brooklyn is it's expensive to live there. The cost of living there is a little higher. It's not even exactly cheap to live there. So while I was there, I looked up, why do people live in Brooklyn? And somebody, a girl, it looked like, had made a post. For some reason, she had moved there, I think because of her job. She was paying way too much for rent because she didn't want to live with anybody in a windowless room. I'm like, oh my gosh. She said she felt unsafe. She's always getting cat calls. I didn't get any of those, but it's fine. She was getting cat calls walking down the street. Nobody wants to, like, the things I just went over basically. And she literally sounded severely depressed. It's an article on Reddit. And a lot of the comments were people were like, I was trying to figure out, like, maybe somebody will jump in and explain why they continue to stay there. Some people said it was friends and family live there. And I'm like, but still, I have friends and family. You can make new friends other places. And maybe, I don't know. Is that an excuse? What do you think when people say that? Or I kind of almost even think maybe people stay because they don't even realize how much nicer it can be someplace else. I'm not saying everybody should get up and leave Brooklyn, but I don't understand why everybody stays there. Or I don't know, maybe tons of people are leaving. I don't know. I just don't get it why there's so many people that choose to live there. I'm just looking for an answer. You don't have to provide it. I don't care. But if you do have something, please let me know. I know a lot of people say the food. Okay, I had the pizza, bagel, and coffee. I made sure I did those. They all were fine. They were fine. They were good. But it's nothing I hadn't had as delicious pizza in Daytona Beach, say, for example, at Louis Pizza in Daytona. He has amazing pizza. I think it was way better. We all have our favorite pizza. So I wouldn't necessarily live there for the pizza. San Francisco has some of the best food I've ever had. And there was something about San Francisco that made it a little, like, this has been the worst place I've ever visited. Because that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. That's why I went there. I just am baffled why people continue to stay and live there. Why people are forced to live that way, even though, like, when you Google it, they say a lot of green spaces. I did not, very little grass. There was one little park nearby. It was overgrown. There was something going on in the bathroom. I don't know. Dogs were like pit bulls, were like a whole bunch of stuff. I get it. That could happen on any random day. The grass was well overdone. And of course, huge surprise, trash and poop everywhere. I'm just blown away by all the garbage everywhere. It was just disgusting. And I I mean, I don't think I'm OCD, but I just can't live with that much filth. It was just really gross. Definitely took my shoes off when I walked in the home because I want to track all this stuff from the sidewalk into the house. Lord knows what you stepped in. So that was crazy too. But yeah, the nice twist was there was a few nice people there, so I'm glad they could see it. It was a convenient location. There was tons of coffee shops, restaurants, and grocery stores nearby. So that made it real nice and easy. I suppose bars and stuff. I think I seen a few. I don't drink, so definitely wasn't going to drink there. My goodness. It was another funny thing, as a side note, when I was leaving, oh my gosh, I had to go over Manhattan Bridge and Holland Tunnel. I was like, oh Lord. They had tons of don't drink and drive signs. I'm like, I can't even drive through this sober. I can't believe people drive drunk in this, but I don't know. I guess that's anything you can get better at it. So for me, visiting Brooklyn was a way to push me a little more out of my comfort zone, to prepare me for traveling to Thailand, prepare me for traveling cross country. I have another big city coming up. I researched it even more in detail right after this Brooklyn trip because I was like, no way can I do this again. And I think it's going to be better. I think it's going to be fine. It's like no signs of dirtiness and not many kind of offstanding people. But I love the peace and quiet, okay? And I get it, not everybody does. But how you can stand, like, you've got to have anxiety living in these cities. I don't know. Let me ask you, would you live in Brooklyn or do you think I'm being too harsh? Let me know in the comments. Till next time.